right in the beginning, huh? You're kidding. It's giving.
What is going on, everybody? It is I, the Viking Weep, and we're back at it again, this time with an episode of the Gentlest of Men. We are on episode 7, if you've been keeping up with us. I am often joined by the members of the Bucket Brigade. I believe you probably remember Angel we had on, I believe it was episode 5. Also, thank you for all the views we've been getting on that video. We both really appreciate it. We've also had No Name from No Name Gaming attend with us as well. It's been a real pleasure to have all of you tune in as much and as often as you have. It makes us really feel like we're doing something. However, this is just for fun. This is just for fun. It's kind of like a hobby. We enjoy having this like outlet to be able to speak on things, give our opinions, or really just bullshit a little bit. So, I've started to structure the Gentlest of Men podcast into more of a 3-point talking point series where I'll talk about 3 different topics, and my time goal is anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. You can enjoy, if you're watching in video mode, my VTuber standing off to the side. If not, then hey, I'm absolutely happy that you're just here tuning in. I don't want any likes. I don't want any comments. I just want you to sit back, enjoy, relax. As I start getting more into different topics, I'll probably start doing different impressions, different accents for different things. So be on the lookout for that. Also, we'll be seeing more than just Angel and No Name. We will have also different special guests for different things. At some point in time, I will get my wife on here because we will be talking about cottagecore and cozy games, and she is an amazing Black Cat personality person, so I will have her on here at some point in time. So if that's what you're looking for, check out the special that should be coming out somewhere between November and December of this year, and then possibly even another one in February. But with that, let's get started, okay? So my first talking point for today is actually going to be about books. So I started listening to audiobooks probably about 2 weeks ago. The first time I started was years and years and years ago. I used Audible. It's fine. It's a subscription, right? Didn't love it. Didn't hate it. But I would always read lore books. Like, I read a lot of Halo. I read a lot of Star Wars. I used that free credit you get every month to buy just, like, something in that realm. But unfortunately with lore, it comes with things that maybe you're not so interested in. So for everyone knows when it comes to Halo, for those of you that do like Halo and Halo lore, everyone knows Reach. Everyone knows the Fall of Onyx. But a lot of the things that get skipped over is the Sangheili Wars, which are the elites, by the way, and the elites and how they conquered 2 other species of aliens to join the Covenant. It's very dry. Now, that's an opinion. I don't want the Halo community coming after me because for some reason, every time a community gets big enough, it becomes toxic. And I think the Halo community, after 5, started becoming like, a little toxic. No offense. I'm one of them. That's just my opinion. It's just not for me. I enjoy the Spartan lore more than I enjoy the Covenant and Sangheili lore. So there are parts of lore that get dry, right? But I couldn't keep up with it. So I stopped listening to audiobooks, okay? I stopped. My wife's been using the app called Libby. It's a free app. You can connect your library cards to it. Wherever you get library cards, you can just add them to that app completely free. And then as long as you're on there, you can search for audiobooks. And just like a regular library card, you would, put your name in for a book, right? You can put it on hold. And then you have a place in line. And then whenever it comes to your turn, you can get it. Now, you can get a real book, but once again, I'm, the anxiety, ADHD-driven person I am, can't sit down and read for longer than, like, 12 and a half seconds. So, audiobooks are great. Okay. Now, I'm going to hit like 3 different things about audiobooks ish. Okay. I'm not going to actually count. I'm just going to kind of rattle off some things. But first of all, listening to an audiobook and playing a cottagecore cozy game on the computer might be one of the most underrated things you can do. Okay. It doesn't matter which audiobook you listen to. Whatever your cup of tea is, a lot of people are reading Stephen King recently, and I get it. It's because it's fall time, it's spooky time, it's just the season, you know? So I get it. I get it. I'm not a Stephen King fan. I never have been, I never will be. I enjoy the movie adaptations, but I also understand that the book, well, I shouldn't say the book. Any book is 9 times out of 10, maybe even 9.9 times out of 10 better than the movie. So I get it. I still prefer to watch the movie for everything Stephen King. I'm not reading 10,000 pages just to know what happens at the end of it when I can watch a 1 hour and 20-minute movie. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing that. Not doing it. I know that's not the actual time. I'm just being dramatic. But, point is, I recently got into it about a week or 2 ago. I've been listening to a book. In fact, let me pull it up. Let me see what it's called here. It's called Stolen Tongues. Okay. So I'm going to go through, basically give you the quick synopsis of this. And that way you can choose to whether you want to read it or not. And kind of go from there. So basically, Stolen Tongues. I can't remember the author's name right now. But Stolen Tongues is essentially about a couple. Okay. And this couple goes to a family cabin somewhere in Maine, I want to say. I think the cabin's in Maine. They live in Colorado, and they go to this said cabin, and weird things start to happen. The female fiance, because they're engaged, she starts developing like a really bad sleep disorder, and it only gets worse. And like she's always been kind of an insomniac, so they go to the doctor, blah blah blah, find out she really is just an insomniac. But things start to get weird. She starts talking to people in the middle of the night. Her husband, fiance, who's the main character, his name is Felix. And we get the story from his point of view. And we're just kind of watching her like go through the struggles of not only dealing with insomnia, but dealing with something that's buried deep and dark in her. It's a very gripping prologue. It's an amazing book. In fact, there was probably only a solid hour of the entire audiobook that I was listening to that I was like, okay, this is just fluff. But the entire book was great. It was a short read. It was 9-hour audiobook. It's got a lot of respect to Native American culture. In fact, the author specified how he was trying to be extremely cautious while writing this book because he didn't want to be perceived as a white guy writing a Native American or indigenous people's book and be disrespectful. So he was really trying to hit that nail on the head. And I feel like he did. I feel like he did a very, very good job of being not only respectful, but he wrote it very well. Very well. I enjoyed the book. I don't want to dig too deep into this synopsis, so the only thing I'm going to add here is after they leave this cabin, things only get worse. She still wakes up, and she's still talking to people, hearing voices, but so does her fiance. He's starting to wake up, and he's starting to hear these things as well, and he's starting to notice even so much as figures watching them sleep from outside. So that is the synopsis of the book. If that sounds intriguing, knowing that, they are being followed / chased around by something. I will say this: I'm huge into monster books, so if that synopsis didn't give it away, just know my next book recommendation will most likely be a monster book. I'm going to try to start doing more of these. Unfortunately, Book Talk got a little bit of a hold of me ever since I read this one. I am on a new one already. I'm not going to dive into that one just yet, just because I would like to get a little way through it to make sure it's not a skip for me, or what's the term people use nowadays? The do not reads or the did not finish? Yeah, DNF, did not finish. Yeah, that's it. So I want to make sure it's a do not finish. But if it's good and I end up going through it, that is the plan. That I'm going to start giving the synopses of books that I read. I will say, as far as a book rating, this is my first audiobook that's not a lore book in probably 15 years. I'm going to give this book a solid 8.7. I really liked it. About 90% of the book was just so well written, so beautiful, and so cool. It's exactly what I wanted it to be honest. But I don't want to sit here and beat a dead horse over what I think. I think you should give it a try. Stolen Tongues. I'm pretty sure the author is Felix Blackwell, just because every time I would open the book, the reader who's narrating it would read by Felix Blackwell. So, like, it got stuck after a while. I just needed to talk about it enough for it to come back. But yeah. Stolen Tongues by Felix Blackwell. Please give that a check. So, additionally, let's move on to our second talking point here. But before I do, I hope the intro, the little random intro, I'm trying to switch the videos out every now and again. Hopefully you all like that. If you're not watching the video format, don't worry about it. For those of you that do watch the video format, I appreciate you. I'm also kind of scared of you because there's nothing going on this screen. My VTuber does move around a little bit, but I mean, other than the first 10 seconds of the video and watching my head bob back and forth, you're not really getting anything from this other than me talking. So you could just turn off the video format. But if you're watching the video the whole way through, I'm scared of you, but not like fear scared. Scared like we probably shouldn't be in the same room. Thankfully, we're not. Moving forward. So the next thing I want to talk about is primarily my review of Alien Romulus. Now, I just watched Alien Romulus. It was my wife's first time watching it, as well as mine. I have, in fact, read the books. Now, not the books as the novelization of the Alien series, which I'm sure exist. However, I read the lore books on Alien, and the Alien versus Predator world / franchise, right? So I really enjoyed these books. These went along with my lore books that I read at an early age. So Romulus wasn't included in the lore books, which is what I was super happy about. So it's kind of like getting a whole new picture of the story after knowing what's supposed to happen, right? So you get to see where the puzzle piece fits in. Super cool. So overall, I'm not going to dive into this one. I'm not going to give you a synopsis. I'm going to give you my just bare bones rating here. I'm going to say Alien Romulus, where it takes place. So it takes place right after Aliens. So if you don't know the timeline, it should be Aliens versus Predator. Then Aliens vs. Predator Requiem. This is where you get into the Alien Origins, which is weird, but I'll explain it. Alien Origins, which is your Prometheus, Aliens Covenant, and then you get into Alien, which is the first movie, not chronologically, sorry, cinematically that aired. Aliens was the first. Sorry for the pauses. I'm also drinking coffee at like noon, so it is what it is. So yes, Aliens. When this movie dropped, it was huge for everyone that watched it. I'm pretty sure this came right before Star Wars, even. So this was like one of the biggest sci-fi movies to date at that time. Great movie. So Aliens, basically, if you're not sure of the timeline and what it's supposed to be doing, you can go on Google. You can give it a quick little read of like the cinematic order, and the chronological order. I'm just going through chronologically how they're supposed to be viewed. But obviously, the second one, right, is Aliens. However, this is where Romulus comes in. And if you don't know what happens at the end of Aliens 1, essentially, good guys win, bad guys lose, right? That's how all these old movies work. But now, I'm going to spoil Alien for you because it's been out for 50 years. So if you haven't seen it, this one's on you. I'm sorry. This one's on you. You deserve this. At the end, Ripley, played by Sigourney Weaver, she actually ejects the alien out of a little air hatch or something like that. She shoots it out into space, basically. This alien, while it's bleeding and flying around in space, it just hardens into a fucking ice rock. So it turns into a big ball of ice. Black ice. Literal black ice. Okay? This is where Romulus picks up, like 12 years in the future. Okay? 12 years later. Something like that. Weyland-Yutani Space Station picks up this rock because they've been looking for it. They knew it existed. They wanted to harvest the DNA from this alien to basically make a super species. They wanted to not only give humans the next genetic component to evolve, but they also wanted to experiment with it because it could lead to medicines, vaccines. And, Weyland-Yutani is a very, very successful company before they started messing with this. Just goes to show their spectrum in which they hold a lot of power, being able to just take over basically all of space to get a hold of this stuff, right? So they get this space rock and they drill it open, and that's kind of the opening scene of Romulus. You're seeing that. I'm not going to go into detail and spoil anything because Romulus is new. So, sorry you get the spoilers for Alien, but you're not getting them from Romulus-ish. I did say spoiler warning, but I'm going to try to not spoil a new movie. I didn't care about spoiling a 50-year-old movie. Right. So, in them finding this rock, they do what Weyland-Yutani does best, right? Because obviously there are 4 original Alien movies. And then they had so many before that. So obviously Aliens still exist after Romulus. Because there wasn't Aliens, which is Alien 2, by the way, in the timeline. I'm sorry. It's the third one in the chronological original order. However, it didn't air third. It aired second. So basically, the reason Romulus is so good, and I'm going to tell you the rating once I'm done babbling, is it gives you that old school Aliens feel. Aliens is a horror movie / franchise where I'm supposed to be watching a group of people run around a ship trying to get off the ship after they fucked up. That's it. That's it right there. It's Weyland-Yutani doesn't understand they're not supposed to play God. They fuck up. And then other people / the people doing it are the ones that suffer. And you get to watch that firsthand as everybody dies, except for 9 times out of 10, a female. One singular female. And you know what? Honestly, I really liked that because I was thinking about it last night while I was watching Romulus. Alien is a female protagonist movie that stuck with female protagonism the whole way through. I enjoy that. Even Alien versus Predator, the only one to not embrace that was Requiem. And Requiem sucked. Now, don't get me wrong. Requiem wasn't terrible. Like, I love the franchise enough to even like the bad ones. However, out of the entire franchise, I do think that Requiem was the worst. That's just me. Now, the wife wanted to skip Aliens 3. And I know what you're probably all thinking, especially the people that have seen 3. So I get it. But she didn't like the quality at which it was shot off of like an iPhone 2. So I get it. Because it wasn't, the quality was downhill. But that's where Aliens Resurrection brought it back. Aliens Resurrection saved the franchise, in my opinion. But it also finished the franchise, which actually makes me upset because I really wanted an Aliens 5. At least I still do. And I think they should, especially because they revived the beginning half of the Aliens like universe. So I think they should start focusing on the end as well. Romulus was perfect though, right in the middle. I don't know if they can slip another one in the middle. They probably could with the same premise as Romulus, where like it doesn't affect the main story overall. But just food for thought if you're watching this and you have anything to do with the creation of the Alien franchise. I move on. The rating I'm going to give Romulus is very consistent of the rest of the Alien movies, and that is an 8.9. I love the Alien movies so much. They're all great, and I wish they all had the quality that Romulus had, but Romulus was missing one thing that every Alien movie has. One thing. And I'm sorry that it's Sigourney Weaver, and it's not even that she's pretty or anything like that. That's not why. That's not why this didn't hit the nines. Sigourney Weaver is just a badass. You can't have an Alien movie without Sigourney Weaver. Now, I get it. She couldn't be in the movie. I get it. That's fine. I get it. I understand. We don't even have to explain why. Just so cool. So cool. Because whether it be Alien 1, Alien 2, Alien 3, or even Resurrection, it was always Ripley. It was always Ripley. It's like making a Halo movie without Master Chief. Why would you do that? It's fine. It could be good. It could be great, but where's Master Chief? That's what Sigourney Weaver is to the Alien franchise. She is the Master Chief. I need to see her killing aliens to feel better. That's where I'm at. So, overall, 8.9. Great movie. They really brought back the original feel of Aliens from Prometheus and Covenant, which we didn't get that. Like alien chasing me down in a spaceship vibes. I really, really enjoyed the way Romulus brought that back. Some of the deaths were a little lackluster in my opinion, but I also am a little messed up in the head. And I'm also a dungeon master in D&D. Not tooting my own horn, just saying, if I can imagine something better, I feel like the people that get paid to do that should, like, at bare minimum, be able to meet the imagination of a random 30-year-old guy. You know what I mean? Like, at bare minimum, you should be able to get that close. By the way, I'm actually 22, not 30. Write that down. All right. And then the last topic I have, because I don't want to spend too much time on this one, or the last one, is best examples of nostalgia. Now, I wanted a co-host when I did this one. However, I have so many ideas. And each one shares a little piece of that nostalgia feeling. Now, nostalgia, if you don't know, is just that feel-good feeling of remembering something that gives you that sense of no responsibility, sense of fun. It could be anything. Like, for millennials like myself, dial-up. Just listening to dial-up, although triggering for a lot of people, is super nostalgic. And it makes you think, oh yeah, kids nowadays don't get it. I used to not be able to even get on the phone the moment someone launched an internet browser. Yep. That's real. That's also a feeling of nostalgia for a lot of us. Something that I've noticed that's gone away, because I really wanted to touch on things that like do actively give nostalgia, but what happened to hacky sacks? Do people actually remember playing hacky sack like consistently? I used to sit outside of football and basketball games outside of my high school and play hacky sack with, like, I want to say the locals because they're still locals now. However, they were my friends, you know? I enjoyed playing hacky sack outside. Doing God knows what, but just having a good time playing hacky. I haven't seen someone play hacky sack besides foreign. I'm going to say football, but for all the Americans here, it's soccer. Foreign football players. Anyone outside the U.S. Like, I'm specifically looking at Europe. Hacky sack. Yeah, that's not nostalgic. That's normal. That's training. Okay. But, like, I did it for fun to see, like, oh, whoever drops it, yeah, you get punched in the face. Like, not literally, but, that was the idea. We were dumb kids, man. It was like 15, 16. Shoot, maybe younger, actually. Damn, I'm old. 22 really hits, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, hacky sack. Never thought of it. Never thought of it. Dining rooms. I can't tell you, and some of you might still have dining rooms / live around people that still have dining rooms. I don't even know somebody, not to say my friends, but like just older people, like the Gen X, people before us. They had dining rooms, but a lot of them are like phasing out dining rooms. They're changing rooms. Like my parents in particular, they're actually getting rid of their entire dining room set. I don't even know what they're doing with the room, but like it's just being phased out. And like looking in that room gives me a sense of nostalgia because I remember having so many like holiday feasts in that room. But now it's leaving, it's gone. Fine, but you're not going to see stuff like that moving forward as an adult. It's not going to come back. That feeling, thinking back to when you used to have no responsibility and got to fill up your plate twice, once with food, once with dessert, like you're not going to have that anymore. That's not a future that you'll live in. Your kids won't, if you choose to have kids, right? They won't have a dining room to go to. Now, some people will. I'm not saying all, right? None of these opinions are absolute. However, just think about it. The generation after you isn't going to really feel like dining rooms are a big deal. They might not even have them. They probably barely have a kitchen table. Most people be eating on their couches, me included half the time, to be honest. And I have a really nice kitchen table. It's not a dining room table. It's a kitchen table because those are different. I don't even want to start getting into TVs, man. I don't even want to start getting into TVs. I know so many of you probably have the latest flat screen TV. It might be a Fire TV. It might be an Amazon TV. Those are the same thing, by the way. It might be an Apple TV. Everyone has a cool TV, which is why I think TV stores are just a place for money laundering. Because there's no way, if everyone has a TV, you're making enough money to sell, or you're making enough money to keep your business afloat when all you sell is TVs. No way. I don't believe you. Money laundering has to be. I digress. I feel like it's a topic of debate. You remember the huge boxes that would sit on back of TVs? How much electronics did you need in that block to make it turn on? Nowadays, there are paper-thin TVs that are not even projectors. They're just paper-thin. They're stickers. They go on walls that have a tiny little block on the bottom. That's crazy to think about. Sorry, coffee. That's crazy to think about. Oh, and don't even get me started on computers. I refuse to touch computers because every 5 years is separated by a wave of some kind of different nostalgia. I will touch on this, though. Do you guys remember clear electronics? You remember like having a Game Boy that was purple, but you could see through and you can see all the electronics inside of it? They did the same thing with like controllers for Xbox and PlayStation. Being able to see through the console, that is probably one of my biggest triggering nostalgia feelings. It is, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the best feelings of nostalgia I feel like you can really touch on. That is so cool. And I wish we'd bring it back. But I don't know if you've noticed this. Every company that chooses to bring back something that used to be real, right? I don't know if you guys remember Microsoft, right? They re-released the Duke controller, which was the original Xbox, original big ass fat controller. They re-released it. You know they had to decommission making them because not enough people bought them when they first launched. It was like people bought them to have a collector's piece and then like never used it again. They stopped making them. You can't get it. You gotta buy them on eBay. Or, I mean, maybe from a third party seller that still has them in circulation, but that's crazy. That's crazy. That was a terrible controller, too. I don't know why. I think that's why, out of the original Xbox and PlayStation, I preferred PlayStation all day. I hated the controller, but I hated the Duke more. And when the 360 came out as that real nice, like, fit in your hand perfect. I think 360 kind of destroyed PlayStation as far as controllers go, because I refuse to comment on the PlayStation Xbox war because I'm a PC nerd now. I was Xbox. I was competitive. I didn't like my indie games. I liked Halo. I liked Gears of War. I liked Forza. I didn't play sports games or indie games. That's why the only indie games I really played was Spyro. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It was Spyro, Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Dexter, Sonic. That was it. That was it. But I was also a Nintendo fan, not a Sega fan. I was a Nintendo fan, so Pokemon all day, you know? I digress. Let me get back to it. So, yeah. Those are like prime examples of nostalgia for me. Y'all remember the AV cords? The red, blue, or no. They were what? Red, yellow, and white. And some had the blue and green, I think it was. I think they did alternate some different colors for different things, but the more, stronger the TV you had, you could plug in the stereo one instead of the mono one. Oh, it's so cool. You could rotate them cords and just like crazy, crazy. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you had to, match the color to the color. However, I think there was 3 that had to go in, the other 2 were optional. But it used to be just the 3. Now, I'm going to go even back further, and some of you are going to see that, oh, shit, he's either actually older than 22 or he was poor. It's one of the two. And I won't tell you which one it is, because I'm definitely 22. You guys remember the rabbit ears that would go on top of your TV? I remember my dad refused to move them because his football channel would come on, right? Or I should say sports, but he watched football a lot, specifically Steelers and Notre Dame. Those were his teams. And when a game would come on, he would be so in it. But he liked to watch other things, but he didn't want to adjust the rabbit ears because, the antennae, right? He didn't want to adjust them because then he'd lose the clearest picture you can have for those games on that channel. So he would go, first of all, he super glued them in place. Crazy dude. Super glued him in place. So you couldn't move him. But he got foil. And he had a big sheet of foil that sat on top of the TV. And he would make bigger antennae. And he would move them around and stuff like that to capture different pictures. When I tell you I watched cartoons with an overlay of static for about 12 years, I really watched cartoons with an overlay of static for like 12 years. But that was only at my dad's house. When I was at my mom's house, it was fine. We actually had one of those giant TVs, the ones with the large ass, like the big block that goes below it, and there's a big block behind it. No, not a table. It was a part of the TV. Like the TV was, like 4.5 feet tall, like 3.5 to 4 feet wide. It was just massive. Big ass thing. That's what we had at my mom's house. And you could just change the channel with the remote. That was cool. Not my dad's. I remember he told me if I wanted it fixed, I had to use the foil. Let me tell you, as a kid trying to adjust the foil on top of an antennae, you weren't getting it. I tried so hard. I remember my little brother tried as well. It just, wow. That was a time. See, that's nostalgia for me. A lot of people don't have that nostalgia because maybe they didn't have bunny ears. Maybe some of you did, and you just didn't use the foil trick. I don't think you can do it now. Mainly because, everything's on the internet or digital now, so can't really do the same thing like you used to. But that's why it's nostalgia. Speaking of nostalgia, if you go too deep into nostalgia, like too deep as in you start thinking of everything, sometimes your memory comes misconstrued. This isn't a new talking point, by the way. I'm still going back to nostalgia after this. Mandela effects are crazy when it comes to nostalgia because so many people will be thinking of things that weren't actually real, or maybe they really do feel were real. I can tell you right now, there are some Mandela effects I believe have just been filtered out of society and deleted from existence just to fuck with us. I don't know if it's a person, a people's, a group, a country. I don't know. I don't know. Because I wouldn't point a finger because I don't know. Maybe I'm just really that naive that I believe things that are filtered on the internet, right? That's the thought. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot of different Mandela effects when you think about nostalgia. You know, one of my favorite ones, though, not Mandela effects, one of my favorite forms of nostalgia is going to a skating rink. I used to love going to a skating rink. I'd throw skates on. My skating rink had like an arcade attached to it and a laser tag place attached to it, but both were their own entities. So that was really, really cool. Think like Chuck E. Cheese on steroids. That was my roller rink. I loved it. And then the carpet was exactly what you're thinking. It was the circles and triangles and little confetti all in random different colors. Yeah, it was the epitome of the 90s vaporwave. Like, I want that carpet in my forever home. And I know I'll get slapped around if I do it. Not like domestic abuse, but you know. I love that carpet. If I could find that carpet that's not, peed, puked, or pooped on, and it's brand new, I would put it in my future man cave. Absolutely, 100%. No questions asked. Because that carpet was so cool, man. It was so cool. And the best part was, my favorite thing, this is what hits, right? The laser tag area inverted the carpet, as in it was kind of like a lighter blue-ish, and then everything else was like pink and green, and like a little bit of purple. And then in the laser tag, they just inverted all the colors. No, it wasn't the light, although yes, they did have the black light and fluorescent lights in there. That was cool. And like neon, right? But they just found a carpet that was just different colors. That was the same thing, and they put it in there. It was so cool of a transition, too. Wow. Yeah. Honestly, I'm not looking for people to comment and like on all these videos. It's just an outlet for me, and it's fun to do, and I enjoy doing it. And if I ever did lose all my views, I'd keep doing it. But I'm going to tell you right now, comment down below. Tell me what your favorite nostalgic moments are, because I would love to hear them. I love hearing about nostalgia, and I don't really have too much more to cover, to be honest with you. That's about all I got. So I'd like to take this moment, first of all, to thank you for making it to the very end. But additionally, please throw down in the comments. Let me know what your favorite forms of nostalgia are. Let me know what you look back on and you feel that sense of just pure joy of no responsibility, just being a kid, being happy. Give me your perfect nostalgia description as far as the stuff that you miss, that you wish you could have back. Because I like hearing it. I like reminiscing. It's fun for me as well. So with that being said, I thank you yet again for tuning in for this full 40-minute experience. I look forward to episode 8, where we will most likely be talking about, if I can get to it, we're going to go over coffee lore, games no one's heard of, and the best smelling colognes. So if you're interested in any of those topics, tune in for episode 8. It should be dropping this week. Once again, I don't really have a schedule for this stuff, so I make sure I post one Gentlest of Men podcast. I try to do it once a week. Sometimes I go a little bit longer, but sometimes I go a little bit shorter. So, sorry I don't have a set in stone schedule, but I promise nonetheless content will remain flowing. So thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you wherever you are. Get home safe, get to work safe on your commute wherever you are or wherever you're going. And as always, good night.